We are starting the CSS text color. So what do you think about this? It's just how to format your text, right? These are just to know how to format your text. Text formatting, right? Just how to know how to format your text, how to style them. So now today we are just targeting the font or the text, how to style them. You understand? Okay. So it says CSS has a lot of properties for styling and formatting text, right? Text formatting. This text is styled with some of the text formatting properties. The heading uses the text align, text transform, and color properties. The paragraph is what? Indented, aligned, and the space between characters is specified. The underline is removed from this colored. Try it yourself. You understand? So the underline is removed from this try it yourself link. You understand? So when I click this, you see how it is like here. So here there's an underline here, but it is removed. Right? So when I'm going to look at how these things apply, first of all, you can also look at the same thing. You can copy this text. And as we are going to do it inside our website or inside our text editor, we can just add P as a paragraph because we are dealing with tests, right? We can use what H1 also and say text formatting. So H1 and P are all tests, right? So when you look at our website now, this is how our website is. So how are we going to style this? Okay, so let me just make this more like this. I'll add it more like this so that we can see it clear. Okay. Okay, so what happened here? First of all, they look at, we did border, right? So this border is applying to the div that they use.
Yeah.
Here they use div, H1 and P paragraph, right? So that's what they do here. But for instance, let me look at here. Okay, let me just use this one and explain to you understand it here. So this is how the text is look like before they achieve this one, right? It was like this. You understand? Okay, so now they are going to style this. They are going to style this thing. So first of all, let me look at it as I'm applying the internal CSS style. I'll do this. Then I'm targeting what? The div. As they did here, they targeted the div here, right? The right div, right? This is the div that we're targeting. So this is the main, or we can say this is the parent now, right? Okay. And then we added what? Border, right? Added border. And then border, as I told you, we have what? It is a short form or shorthand. So when you add border, what do we normally do? We add a border what? Border width, right? So the border width, the root is what? 1 pixel, right? 1 pixel. And then we added what? Border what? Border style, which is what? Here they say solid. We add solid. So you see now the border is added now, right? And then we add what? Border what? Border color. They add which color? Gray. So here we can change the color and say we want red, right? Are you following?
Yeah, I'm following.
Okay, so you see how it is added. What again? The added padding. We did padding. So when we add padding of 8, what does it mean? This padding of 8 means it affects where?
Inside.
Inside, right? And the side, all the side affect what? 8 what? 8 pixels. So if you see what padding, it's a shorthand or short form because we have padding left, padding right, padding top, padding bottom. But if you say padding, yeah, I mean you are targeting all the side. So you have to give what? The value for all the sides. So if you give only one value means you are giving value for all the sides. So if you see 8 pixels, these 8 pixels what apply to all the sides, the inside, right?
Yeah.
So that means you have 8 pixels, right? Okay. So after adding that, now we come to that H1, which is this. Now we finish with div, we are now targeting H1. We come here and say H1. So H1, what are you CSS that we're targeting? Now this one is a test, right? So when you go here, you see test align as we did center, right? You see
H1.
test
Yeah.
align. I'm talking about test align.
Okay.
As I said in test align now, we can make it either center, right, or left. Understand? So now we can make the test to what H1 to be test align. So this one will come in the middle. Understand? So here we are what? We are dealing with the test. We are styling the test. Understand? We style the div, understand, which we added all this border and the padding. Now we are targeting the H1, which is what? H1, which is a test. Right? So we say test align
Yeah.
center. So what again? To another what style or property for the test is what? Test transform. Test transform. You already know test align, which is either center, right, or left, or justify. I hope you know what justify is.
I forgot.
Okay, no problem. I'll come to that. All right. So now we are looking at test transform, meaning change the test form, how the test is, transform into what? A different what? Different format. And the format that we have uppercase, we have lowercase, right? You know
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah, I know.
We have uppercase, we have lowercase, or we
Hello?
have S what? Where a letter first. So now looking at this, so we see test transform,
Yeah.
test transform. If I say test transform, now it gives me a lot of options. You see, I have capitalize, I have lowercase, I have uppercase. So now in this, they use what? Uppercase, meaning change all the small letters to capital letters. So if I say uppercase, it will change all to capital letters, right?
Yeah.
So that is how we style the tests. And then we come again and say color, change the color of the test. So we can change the color to this test. So we can say color. And then in our case, we can say we want maybe green color, something like this. And so our color here is come green now, right? So now you can say that he has finished or we have finished with formatting there and the header, which is H1. So now we are moving to the paragraph, which is this one, right? You can come here and see we are targeting the
Mm.
P as a paragraph. So that's why I was saying that if you follow it one by one, you're doing it one by one, things will be easier for you. Okay. Now look at what happened. Also, they say test indents. Test indent. The test indent simply means move the first line of the words or the paragraph to left at 50 pixels. So look at, they are all what? Initially, look at here. Initially, they are all here, right? You see, they are all in line with each other here from this line, right? But when you say indent, indent means move this first line to the either left or right or so far. But here, you move it to the left, right? So when you see something, if they say that left, it normally left means shift from the left. Always put that in your mind. If not, it will confuse you when you talk about left, because sometimes people look at left as because you are studying the left. So when you see left, people will look at maybe it is going back at the left side. No, it means when you talk about left here, it means a shift from that left. So when it shifts from the left, it means that it's going to the right side. They are saying that when you talk about left, means shift to the right side. You understand? When we talk about the left, it means that shift to the right side. So here we can say, right, indent, right? Look at test indent. So if we see test indent, and then we see 50 pixels, or maybe we can even say ours is 100 pixels or 80 pixels. So you see that it shifted to the right 80 pixels.
Yeah.
Understand? It shifted here to the right 80 pixels. So here shifted to the 80. So that's what they call test indent. And this test indent. Right? So test indent is normally like your tab on your keyboard, the tab that you normally use tab. So when you tap on it, you see that it's shift to there. You understand? So that is why we do normally use test indent. Understand? So that is test indent. Right? So we can look at what? Test align. Test align. Right? So test align is what? Justify. Test align. Test align. Now we are not using what? Center. We are using what? Justify. And so we can use what? Test align and left, right, start. But we are now using what? Justify. Justify means stretch all the what? The paragraph to what? To be in the same line. Understand? To reach in the same end. For instance, if I say test align and justify, all the line will end up in the what? At the same ending. You see here. So it will force all the text to stretch itself. To be here. So you have something like this, which align perfectly to each other. I understand. So it's always look at where can it stretch in the word in such a way that, or where can it leave the spaces in such a way that it will come and what and be in line or be the same position with the what and the other tests. Understand? So it arranges itself here at the end. So each line end, let's say each one will end in the same position. Understand? Each line end in the same position, except that when the words are not matched. So you see that this word is that it's not matched. So it cannot stretch this line to come here to be weird. And if it stretch and leave a lot of big spaces here, it will look weird. But if this was to be like here, it can even stretch it to here. But normally we don't look, it doesn't look at the ending word. I understand? Because most of the ending word because it has already stretched all the way from the top. For the last one, leave it as it is because that's how the format is. Right, it will look nice. Understand? Because we don't want each line to what to bypass any line. We want them to end in the same point. And because this one doesn't come here or doesn't bypass this, it will just leave it this side. Understand? So that is why we talk why we will see when we talk about the test align and justify. Right? Okay, and then you look at letter spacing. Letter spacing. Right? Hello? I think today your internet is because I know my internet is also having problem.
Hello?
Because sometimes I used to connect with my phone, so but I think today if you also have internet problem, it will be very difficult for you to follow up. Unless maybe I'll just continue with the lesson and then I'll send you the video. Hello?
Okay.
Okay, let me continue. So, as I told you, the letter spacing is the spacing between the letters. And it's we have word, we have letters. So this is what a word. This is a word. So each word, T is what a letter, right? E is a
Yeah.
letter. X is a letter. T is a letter. So we are talking about letter. So letter spacing between the letters. So the spacing between the letters. If you see letter spacing, and we see we want to have 3 pixels, you see that all here from this has what 3 pixels. Each space between the letters has three pixels. So that's why we call letter spacing. Understand? And then here we talk about here we already did this. The link, you see normally the link has the default link normally comes with this underline and with color of blue, showing that it is a link. You understand? So when we target it, we can change it or we can format it. So here we see E, are we targeting the E? And here we can see test decoration as we did before, test decoration, and we can set that test decoration to none, which can remove the underline. You see, so now the underline word is removed when you see none, meaning we don't want any decoration of the test. Now, if we see test decoration to be dash, no, okay. So if normal test decoration, we set it to none. You understand? So we just normally set it to none because we don't normally want it unless you want to style that line. You add border line or horizontal line, and then just change the border and change the border style. But normally we just leave it. If it's a link, if we don't want that line to be there, we just make it test decoration to none. You understand?
Yeah.
And then once again here, and then we add a color. So here we added a color. But normally it comes with blue color. So you can also change the color. So if you see color, if you see color, you can change the color to anything that you want. So maybe you don't want blue color now. You want you want the color to be this. Understand? So now you look at how the color. It is a lane, while you look at how the color has changed. Yeah, so that's the simplest way to apply to that of the test.
Okay.
You understand? So this is the example that they were giving to you. There are a lot of them. And then for the test color, you already know how to apply the test color, right? You only write
Yeah.
color and you write the name. If it is blue, right? If it is depending on what you are targeting, H1 or H2. So if I come here and say we are targeting the link as a red line in this color. Understand? I can go here and see the paragraph. I want to change the color. Then I write color and I say that I want the color to be blue. You see all this become blue, right? So that's what is happening here. So all these are the color that we apply. So which property is used to set the color of the text in color in CSS? Which property is used to set the color of the text in CSS? So we say color. We say color. So here you see that it is correct, which is color. And so move forward, text alignment. We already done that. Text alignment, you see, it just talk about the alignment and the text direction. We have our text align last, vertical align, direction, and what? Unicode. So all of these are applied, but normally what we normally look at is this text align. Understand? Either left, right, center, or justify. So if I say here, I'm targeting this, the paragraph, and I see text align, instead of justify, I'll say left. I'll say left. Right? So it is arranged left. Maybe I can remove this text indent so that you see it clearly. You see how it is arranged. Left, it's at the left side. So if I say right, it goes at the right side. You see, so it's ended at the right side. You see. So if I say left, if I want to be center, I can just center. So to be at the center. You understand? So this one will be at the center. If I want it to be justified, I can say also justify. You see how it's all arranged or ended in this position. Understand? So both these and then the ending are equal. Understand? Except when the words are not many or the sentence are not many. So it's ended here. And so that's why we can also use justify. Right? Left, right, center, justify. Right? Now look at all this. They are the same thing. To justify. There's also text align last. Text align lines, align last. Specify how to align the last line of the text. And it can be auto, meaning the last line justify and align left. Understand? That's the default one that we know. Left, the last line is aligned to the left. Right, the last line is aligned to the right. Center, justify, start, end. So all these things are normally used. Understand? So if you want to see the example, we can just say, going to see the example, then look at how it is. Understand? Which one is are we targeting? You see what? P, this is the H1, right? And this is the H2, right? So this is what? The paragraph, which is this, right? And then they said they added a class. So their class, because as I told you that, because it is P, if you apply this to only the P, it will affect all of them. So we want to differentiate them. So that's why we added class. So that this P has a class of A, this P has a class of B, and this P has a class of C. So that when I apply my CSS, it will be different from each. You understand? So we see that here you add what? A. To A will affect this first P, the B will affect the second P, and the C will affect the third P. So for PA, test align, they say test align last. You see right. See how? Test align right. See. You see it is right. You understand? Test align last. So when you look at this, test align last. What did they say? Test align today. I'm coming which to the right. So when you look at to the right, if you see right, this is right. It means the last line is aligned to the right. Understand? The last line is aligned to the right. Where is the last line? Is the last line, right? Who is the last line? This is the last line, right? It's arranged to the what? Right. So here, it move and give this space. You understand? So that is how you look at it. That's how you look. Most of them, because they say last, sometimes it's a bit confusion. But if you understand how it works, but normally it depends on how your design is. You can apply. A lot of people don't really even use this, but it's important if you are dealing with how to style your tests. You understand? Normally, people try to use the justify or left or right or center. So center are the most useful, especially if you are designing a mobile friendly, responsive design. You want everything to be in the middle. So sometimes people want the text to be in the center so that it won't be like this will go at the left and it will be affected with the margin or what the padding. So sometimes you just put that text in the middle. So these are all the style of that of the tests. We also have vertical align. It set the vertical align of an element. We can have the following values: baseline. The element is aligned with the baseline of the parent. You understand? You look at how the parent is. If it's a div, you look at the div, and then it also set it what? It alignment. Length, percentage, also raise or lower an element by the specified length of percent. The sub, as you already know, which is what? Subscript baseline. Super is also a superscript. Top, the top of the tallest elements. Test top, middle, bottom, test bottom. All of them are just self-explanatory. If you look at the names, you know where the thing is. You look at vertical align. You just normally check it and see how it is look. And so they took this and then they want you to compare and look at how. The default one is this. Align the orange square to baseline. So look at, they are all in line with each other. That's baseline, right? Align the orange square to the text top. So when you use text top, this one we came at the top, right? Bottom, this came at the bottom, and then subscript here and superscript here. Understand? So that is normally what it's just self-explanatory. It's not something to worry about. The direction is also there. It specifies the text direction or writing direction within a block level element. Understand? You can use it within the Unicode, BIDI property to set or retain whether the text should be overridden to support multiple languages in the same document. So here you can say right to left. The direction normally in Arabic language, if you want the text to start from left to right, you can use this one. You understand? So when you are designing a website and that website is an Arabic website or an Islamic website, normally their language is they start from left to right, or some of the language that start with left to right. You can use
Can
this.
we use RTL?
Yeah, RTL is right to left. So if you want to make it left to right, you can say LT what? Left to right, LTR. I understand. So for instance, here, look at the example here. You understand what happened? So here we are targeting the P paragraph, which is what? This is the default text direction, and then this is the right to left text. You understand? So now you can see this direction, we specify direction of this, and we say right to left. You understand? So it starts from right and goes to left. So here it starts from one right and moving to left. Right? Okay, so
Yeah.
look at this. You see how it is. Look at how it is written. Just look at this. This is, you cannot even read it, right? So this is how it's done. Normally, that's the default. This one. And when you apply with this direction, turn it to this way. Understand? So it's applying to this Unicode BDI. So normally, if I say like this, if I want to clear this and say run, see how it is, right?
Yeah.
I want to apply that what the name BDI is another also a property that you can apply. But normally I don't. If it depends on how your design is, you can apply it. So it will turn it. You see how it is. Override the thing and turn it to an upside down. From one, that's how this apply. Just a project or not. Which property is used to set horizontal element of text in CSS?
Horizontal
Which property is used to set horizontal alignment of text in CSS?
text align.
Let's align. Are you sure? Okay. Okay, so text decoration, this one too, we've done it. So if you are talking about text decoration, you already know one. Which one is what? None or underline, right?
Yeah.
So that this is the shorthand property for the following individual. You can use text decoration line, text decoration color, text decoration style, text decoration thickness. Understand? So all of these are talking about, these are all the same thing. If you think about what we did with the border style, we did border style, border width, border color. And so it's the same thing. Here there's color, here there is style, here there is thickness, here there is line. So you notice that all of them are the same thing. If you want to even follow the language itself, you can see that they are all right, giving the same sense. So if you see text decoration line, there are certain one, the line which is going to add it to the text, right? So this property can be what? One or even more of the following values. As I told you, we can set it to none, meaning you don't want the text, meaning display no decoration line. You can set it to underline, meaning give an underline of that word text. Overline means apply that line at the top of the text. And line through means like you have canceled the line. You took a line inside the text. And so all these are like this. So when I look at the example, You see, text overline this. You set the text decoration to overline, meaning the line should be up above the text. This is the line. When you set it to true, line true, it's like it is canceling the text. So it go inside the text. And when you see underline, it goes under the text. You understand? And when you see overline, underline, you understand? You're applying these two things. This overline, then you're applying the underline. So it will be what? There will be an overline and there will be underline. You understand? So sometimes I say that it is not recommended to underline text that is not a link because it often confuses the reader. Because you normally, when there is a link, it normally comes with an underline. You understand? And its color is blue. So when you try to add an underline to a text, sometimes it confuses the user or the reader. It look at it as if it is a link. But normally, you normally add those to a link, especially when you have from your project, when you added the link at the nav, understand, the first header when you added the links. Because the browser knows that it is a link. But when you do that in normal text, the reader becomes, it confuses itself. So that is what we are talking about, text decoration, and we talk about the color of the line. You see, we add overline and we add what? The red. So that color will be red, that line. So the line is blue, green, and purple. So the property that we use is text decoration color. So text decoration color. You understand? You text decoration color, the same thing. For instance, here what we did here is the same thing. The E, you can add it as text decoration. Here we set it to none, so there it is none. But if you leave it, it will be there. You see the line. You understand? By default, link has a line. You understand? So by default, since it has a line, so now if you say text decoration color, you can set it to yellow. So now you see the color is yellow here. Let me set it to different color so you can see it clearly. You see the color now. Okay, this color is okay. We set it to this color like this. I understand. Now it is this color. Text decoration color. So that line here itself. That's the color. Understand? So we can apply this overlay. We can see text decoration. Text decoration. So we see overlay. You see the line is above now. You can add another one. Overline, underline. So it will be two. Overline, underline. You understand? So that is how it is applied. And now what? The line itself. So the style, text decoration style, either solid, double, dotted, dash, or wavy. We did the same thing. You understand? Here normally we did text decoration word style, right? Text decoration style, either dash, dot. So you can just say dotted. You see how it is dotted. So the same thing as what we did with the border style, border weight, border color, whatever. So the same thing. Yes, the same thing. We don't need to. If you look at the examples, you see how it is double, dotted, wavy. You see. So these are the examples. So the thickness to also count. Thickness, 5 pixels. So text decoration thickness. Text decoration thickness. So the thickness you can apply. So what is the thickness? You see how it is. Right? So they are simple. In the shorthand, you can just say text decoration and you can apply all these 4 steps, starting with the line, the color, the style, the thickness. Understand? So for instance, if you want to apply this, you can start with what? This one, the line, right? So you see underline. And then you start with we continue with the color. And then you see red. You continue with what? Decoration. You see double. And you continue with the thickness and you see 5 pixels. Right? So that is how it looks like. So here you see how they apply it. So first of all, they say underline. Okay, it underline it. And then what is the color? It says red. And then what do you want the underline to be? You want it to be double. So it is double. And then the thickness, you say 5 pixels. I hope you understand.
Yeah.
So if you don't want it, you just say none. I don't want anything. Understand? So drag and drop the correct value to remove the default underline from links. Text decoration. Which one should I take?
Text.
None.
None.
None. I understand. So if I say none, I mean I don't want anything. I understand. I don't want anything. Right? So text transformation, we also did that. The same thing is what is used to control the capitalization of text in an element, as you know. You can set it to none, meaning nothing is what is applied. You can set it to capitalize, as I told you before, meaning it transforms the first character of each word to uppercase. You can set it to uppercase. It transforms all the characters to uppercase, and you can set it to a lowercase, which transform all the characters to lowercase. You understand? So now here, uppercase, lowercase, capitalize. So look at the differences. This one is what? Uppercase. All the what? The letters are what? Uppercase. If you set it to lowercase, all the letters are lowercase. But if you set it to capitalize, each initial what letter become capitalized. Each initial letter. You understand? Each initial letter become capitalized. So that's what we call capitalize. So all these things you can use to start the tests. Okay. So drag and drop the correct property and
Yeah.
value to make all letters inside a paragraph element, which is uppercase. So which one are you going to use? We look at correct property and values.
Text
Which can,
decoration.
okay, text decoration.
Text decoration.
I'm coming. I should look at this clear. It said that, okay, look at it clear. Read it clear. Drag and drop the correct property and value. So property and value to make all letters inside P paragraph to be uppercase.
Text transform. Hello?
If you see text decoration, text line, now
I
we are
said
talking about
text
we are
transform.
talking about each text transform. Listen, because we just talk about that text transformation. So we text transform
Uppercase.
to uppercase. Then we look at uppercase, right? Now you see that your answer is correct. But if you talk about the text decoration, it's just to apply a line to it, underline, overline, understand? Okay, that's it. So that's text transformation. So it controls the capitalization of text. So look at text spacing. Text spacing. The text spacing also know is just simple English. Text spacing. Space the text, right? So it's property to control text spacing. Text indents, which also give a space. We'll talk about it. Letter spacing, lines height, word spacing, white space. They are all self-explanatory. Here, this one we already talked about the text indentation, right? So look at the text indents used to specify the indentation of the first line in a text block. You understand? So look at what's happening. You can also use negative value. So the first line will be indented left if the value is negative. Understand? So here you said the text indent is 50 pixels, as I told you the last time. So now here is what? 50, meaning it's move or shift to the right. Understand? So we always look at the first element, or in the first line. Letter spacing, we are talking about letters, each letter, A, B, C, D, each letter, the spacing of it, right? So here you say letter spacing, 5 pixels. So look at this. From here to here, spacing of this, spacing of this, spacing of this. So that is what we are looking at. But when you talk about, when you set it to negative, you see it is very close. I can look at -2. Look at how it is. The spacing, like, it's like it is what? Squeezing itself. Because you set it to negative. Right? So that is how. And line height is what? The height or the line, the difference line between those what? Each what? Line of word. So look at the space, and then negative word also what is not allowed here. You understand? So space, specify the space line, and then look at the example. You see how it is. Is the default maybe, right? And this one we set it to 0.7. That's how it is. Difference between the line, the space between this. And then this one we set it to 1.8. So look at in between them, that space. You understand? All of them has where you have to use it, and then it's most people use this line height very well because you want the text to be arranged, to be seen or to be read in a neat way. Although the default behavior also is good, but sometimes it depends on the font that you use. So the word, this is about the word, each word, the spacing between each word. So you see word spacing, the same thing. Look and take the word, each word. So this, there's a space. This, there's a space. A, there's a space. Paragraph, there's a space. With, there's a space. So that's the word spacing. And when you set it to minus, it becomes very closer to each other. So that is not something difficult. And this is white spacing. White spacing is the spacing here, for instance. Here is a space. The white spacing that we talk about, this spacing. Normally, you don't do this, but normally you talk about this spacing, like look at this. Understand? Normally, the word spacing is this word spacing around it, but that's other spacing that we're talking about. The white spacing is the empty space that is in between that word. You understand? So you can set them in this volume. You see, white space inside an element. Understand? Each white space inside the element. Normal, no wrap. Understand? Wrap means when it is what? when it is squeezed, don't put that word to come down or to be the below what line. So you can set it to a no wrap. But if it is wrap, it will come down. You understand? So all these are type of the volume that you can apply. You can disable the text wrapping inside the element. That's why I say you can use no wrap. So if you see, they say here it says no wrap. So this text goes up to here. You see. So display normally it has to cut and come down, but because it is set to no wrap, say don't wrap it. So it will leave this to continue. You see how it is. There are a lot of letter here. Because you set it to a no wrap. But if I set it to wrap, this will not continue, but it will cut and come down. Like you are applying a brake. Understand? That is how this thing works here. To drag and drop the correct property to increase the space between characters. Increase the space between characters. So which one will you look at? Increase the space between characters.
Word space.
Characters.
Letter space.
When we talk about characters, after there's a word, there's character. Understand? So text shadow. Text shadow is also another property that you can apply. Look at how it is. Text shadow effects. For instance, if we apply it to each one, we have horizontal and vertical. So the text shadow, what does it do? It normally specifies the horizontal and vertical shadow. So the first one is what? Horizontal. The second one is the what? Vertical shadow. So these 2 pixels is for horizontal shadow. And then this 2 is what? For vertical. Right? And then the other one is the color. You can add a color to it. First of all, horizontal, vertical, and the color. So it's make it like this. Understand? Here, and also we have something called blur. You can add a blur to it. Horizontal, vertical, blur. This is a blur, and then you add your color. You understand? So these are all like shorthand that you can even use. Text shadow. Understand? So here you can apply the same thing. For instance, if you want to apply it to the H1, you can see what text shadow. And you see 2 pixels for the horizontal, that means horizontal offset, and then 2 pixels for the vertical offset. And then you say if you want it to be blur, you can add maybe 5 pixels. You see how it is, blur, and then you can now add a color of that text shadow. Maybe you can say red. Have we seen how it is?
Yeah.
So sometimes you see a word which is like this. And then how did they do it? You understand? So you can play along with all this and look at which one will be giving it a good color or what shadow. Yes, sir. Sometimes you can even add and make the background color of this to be, or you can make the color of it to be white. Sometimes that's how they apply. And then you see it's what it stand out. You understand? Here you didn't use any background color, but you use a color in the text shadow. So the text shadow will make it stand out. Maybe if you can change the color and make it, let's make it something that will make it look nice. You understand? See how it is. So it depends on how you want it. Okay. So that is all about the text color. So just always note that we have all this 4 values that we can apply. 4 values. Understand? First of all is the horizontal offset, the vertical offset, and then the blur. How you want it to look like, to blur, or you want people to see it neat, or you want it to blur. And then the last one is the color. So we have 4 values that we add to the shadow. Understand? And sometimes you can do it twice or multiple times. Understand? You can apply the same thing. You have 4 values here and another 4 values here. It means that this one is the first one, this one is the second one. So this one is what? Additional. It added an effect to make it deep. Understand? Like here, the way we did it here, we can make it twice and add another one, which can make it, can copy the same thing. So adding another one to make it deeper. You understand? It's like it's the same thing, but it's deepening it twice, like making it more. Of the same one, the same shadow. Anything like whatever you want to add to it. Understand? Or you can even change the color. So it makes the color together. The first color and the second color. So it mixes it together, then change that. So you see that here the green is seen inside and the black too is also seen in. So you can mix multiple colors of the text shadows. Listen. So look at this, how they did it. They even add up to 3 different. So let's look at it. You see how it is. Understand? So always that is how normally it's applied. If you want to target the text, so you drag and drop the correct property and value to add a red shadow to the text. What will you add?
Text shadow.
Text shadow, and then what?
Red.
The red. Understand? So now we already have the 2 pixels for the horizontal, the 2 pixels for the vertical, and we have a color of red. They didn't add any blur, so we don't have blend. We only have the color. Understand? So that is how it is. So that is how it's here. So we have a code challenge. Sometimes I don't really. We can go and look at this thing, right? We can move to font.